Hello and welcome back to my channel. I think this lighting will be better. Today I wanted to just talk about my last year 2024. So this video is a little bit later than I wanted it to be. We're already halfway through January somehow, and the first half of this month has been just so crazy, such a roller coaster of emotions for me, and I feel like that's how it is for everyone. Whenever it's cold and snowy and you're stuck in the house, it's just kind of a depressing time. And usually for me, like as soon as it's January 1st, a light switch just clicks and everything is different. I want to be a new me. I have all these goals that I'm trying to accomplish, and it's like I'm almost an entirely different person just at the snap of my fingers. And this year it did not work like that. I am still struggling to do what I want to do. I don't know if all of that makes sense, but it's been really hard to be productive and to work on myself. I feel like I've just been in kind of a funk of staying consistent in the way that I am and not even having a desire to do better. I thought it would be fun to look back and to remember once again, as we're already halfway through this first month of the new year. So I actually just realized that my husband just left for a job interview, and he took my phone with him so he can know how to get there because his phone is really bad. And so what I have here is my bullet journal, and I definitely do not want to share everything in here just because a lot of it is super cringy. This year of bullet journaling, I wanted it to be a little bit different. The first year that I did bullet journaling was 2023. It really all started in 2020. I made a notebook that was geared towards that year, and I did like monthly recaps where I talked about my month, my goals, and my favorites and things like that. I'm actually not 100% sure where that notebook is, but I actually started in 2020, and that's so funny to me in a way because that was my favorite year that I've ever lived. And I know that sounds so silly because most people hear the year 2020 and inwardly cringe and think about that horrible year for most people, but for me it was a very good year. It is the year that I fell in love with my now husband. It is the year where I fell in love with God and surrendered my life to him. It was just a whole change in me. It is the year that I think I turned 17 that year. So I was 16 and I was seeking God very hard at this point, but I was just struggling at reaching him, I feel like. And it definitely was a me problem, not a God problem, obviously, because God is always the same and he's always in the same place. But I was saved when I was 10, and so it was almost a struggle for me knowing that I was saved so young. And I wasn't saved from drugs. I wasn't saved from all those bad, horrible sins that you hear in people's testimonies that are awful. And they talk about how awful it is and that they wish they never went through all of that. But whenever you're saved at a young age and you don't have a testimony like that, it's almost hard to see God for who he truly is and to see yourself for who you truly are. I feel like I always had a self-righteous, I'm better than people, because, and like not outwardly, I would never say that, but I think a lot of my attitude showed that I thought I was better than people because I didn't have that background and because I was striving to be a good Christian person. All of my friends in church, it was after church and we were just talking. I don't even remember what exactly we were talking about. It's not super fresh in my mind anymore, but we were talking and all of a sudden it just got really deep somehow and we just started talking about things. And the main thing that I remember is that we all just took time to pray at the altar. And when I was praying, I just remember thinking, what is my life? Like, what am I doing? And like being so filled with remorse for the way that my Christian walk was. I just wanted to do so much more for God. And I feel like that's when it really got serious for me and I truly did change my walk with God. I started reading my Bible every day, and I never had done that before. I always thought it was silly when people would talk about how important it is to read the Bible, and I would try to read the Bible, but I would have no understanding. But from that time, I started reading my Bible and things just started jumping out at me. I don't even know why I'm sharing all this, but maybe hopefully it is a help to somebody out there. I don't know why this is what I'm talking about, but I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to. That's when God became real in my life, and it is the year that I truly fell in love with God. And I say that and it sounds maybe silly to people, I don't know, but like our relationship is a love relationship. So I fell in love with God that year. That is also the year that I fell in love with my husband. I had known him since I was 9 years old whenever I first started going to church, and so I had known him for a long time, but there was no romance, no anything like that. I did not think of him as anyone that I would want to marry. So our whole love story is very unique I think, and I really want to talk about it and share it on this YouTube channel at one point. I also want to talk about my testimony more on this channel. So those are 2 videos that I hope to do sometime this year. But anyways, let's get into 2024 and focusing on that bullet journal. So this bullet journal actually started in 2023, and I recorded all of 2023. I went all out for this bullet journal. As you can see, like, I have all these pictures in it, and every month I had like a starter. I had all of these trackers, and I just went really intense with it. But as the year went on, I really dropped the ball and I just stopped recording stuff. Like, you'll see so many blank pages and just things that aren't finished in it. I had things that I wanted to do, but I just never got to them. And so for 2024, I just wanted to simplify my bullet journal and just focus on a few main things. We also traveled a lot, both in 2023 and in 2024. We were traveling to a lot of different churches. We had a mission in mind to one day go to Canada, and my husband would pastor a church there, and we would do a ministry there where we just reach people in Canada. The Lord has changed our hearts about that. The future is still unknown about what all God wants us to do, and I think that is I think it's a great season to be in. I always hated it when I was in my upper teen years and I didn't know what God wanted for me. I didn't like not knowing what was next and what God wanted for me. But right now I think it's a beautiful season of just praying, trusting, and waiting. And it's just been so beautiful to serve God in our own church, in our neighborhood, and where we are. My husband just came home from his interview. I forget what I was talking about. Anyway, let's just get right into my bullet journal and I can explain it as we go. Every year, usually, I pick a word of the year and a verse of the year. And it usually starts off with a verse of the year, and then I pick my word based off of that verse. Last year, 2024, I knew that what I wanted to do is go back, and this is so funny, I can't believe this all happened, but go back to 2020, which was the year I was most on fire, the year that gave me this love for God and for my husband and for my family, everything. It changed my life in so many good ways. And so I really wanted to go back to that and remember that word surrender, because 2020 is whenever I surrendered my life to the Lord. But I realized that surrender is a daily thing. It's not just a one and done. You have to do that daily. You have to choose to do that daily. This year, my word was surrender. I wanted to surrender every single day. And rather than picking a verse from the Bible, I ended up using a song, which is I Surrender All. It's a very popular hymn, I think, and I just wanted my whole life to be surrendered to God and to what He wanted. I failed, definitely, in the year of 2024. I feel like it was just a down year, and I don't know, I really struggled through it. We had a lot of hard times during 2024, and it was a struggle most of the year, in fact, and it was a hard year. But I feel like the biggest part of surrendering is just knowing that even if it isn't going the way that you want it to know that God wants what's best for you, and to just say, I trust you, God. This is what you're doing. I'm just going to trust you and take it one step at a time, even though I don't know what is going to happen. It's so crazy that this was my word, because this is the year that we stopped traveling. We stopped our whole vision of what we thought our lives was going to be, and it's now completely different. And we still at this point don't know exactly which way God is going to lead us to next, but it's still important to do that surrender and just to know, I trust you, God, even when I don't know what is going to happen, even when I am confused, even when it doesn't make sense to me. My title page, that's what I kind of call it, has my 2024, and it says surrender, my big word, and then I have like lyrics to the I Surrender All song. And then I have some goals here. I split it into 4 different categories: health, spiritual, my hobbies, and then relationships. And I always have like 4 categories that I go to for my goals, and it always changes what those 4 are. I'm going to say this year a lot, but I'm talking about the year 2024. So just know that if I ever say this year, I'm talking about 2024. For health, I wanted to meal plan and make healthy meals. In 2023 and in 2024, like I said, in both years, we were traveling a lot, and I was not able to cook a lot because we weren't home most of the time. A lot of churches we went to would cook for us, but even still, a lot of that food was not very healthy. We traveled down south a lot, and a lot of their food is fried or just not the healthiest meals. And also, whenever we traveled, we went to a lot of meetings, church meetings that were like week long, or like just a lot of days in a row of just sitting in churches and listening to preaching, which is a great thing. I really enjoyed it a lot and I learned a lot from it. You would sit and listen to a lot of preaching and sermons, and then you would eat, and then you sit in your hotel room, and then you go back to church and you sit and eat. And so like it's just a lot of sitting and eating. And the first year, 2023, I gained so much weight. I'm not exactly sure how much weight I gained, but I just know I could feel the difference. I could see the difference. And so I've really struggled with my weight since then. I just always look back at pictures of me from like 2020, for instance, in 2021 before I got married. And my body was a lot different, but I also was a lot younger. I got married when I was 18 years old. So like my 18-year-old body and before that are definitely going to be different than my 20-year-old body. And I'm trying to put less pressure on myself to lose weight, but to just have a healthier lifestyle. And then also I just wanted to do a daily movement. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to work out every single day. I don't know if it was 2023 or 2024, but one of those years I ended up actually really enjoying working out. And like I said, a lot of times we were traveling and they would put us into hotels a lot of the time. I always loved when we stayed in hotels rather than staying at the church, because they always had a gym and a pool at these hotels. And so a lot of times we would go to the gym every day that we were there. I think we did pretty good in our health department. It wasn't the best, and I definitely want to do better this year. For hobbies and passions, I have a lot of hobbies, I feel like, and I feel like I'm just growing more hobbies as I grow older. These hobbies that I have are read, journal, and crochet, and to do what I love. And a lot of times I feel like I would just watch TV a lot or just scroll on my phone a lot, and those are not things that I want to be taking up my time. I rather put my time into doing something creative. Reading, journaling, crocheting, those are all things that I enjoy, and I just wanted to put more time into those hobbies. I'm not sure if I actually did good on that last year or not. My next category is spiritual, and I wanted to read my Bible daily and pray daily. Did I do this? Not at all. In fact, there is a lot of times that I missed Bible time. I used to be so good at praying, but not so good at keeping with my Bible time. But I feel like this year, or 2024, I really switched, and now I'm better at reading my Bible and not so good at praying. And so I did not do good at praying last year. I'm not doing good at praying this year, but that is something that I want to do better at. And then also reading my Bible, I have on the very next page a Bible reading tracker, as you can see, and there are a lot of blanks in this page. At the beginning of the year, I was doing a Bible reading plan. I started it on my birthday in 2023. I was still in the middle of that in 2024 until July. And I did really good at Bible reading up to that point. August was pretty good too. It was really like near the end of the year that I started really going downhill. And then my last one says relationships, and I really wanted to prioritize date nights and relationships with my husband. Like I said, 2020 was the year that I fell in love with my relationship with God, but it's also the year that I fell in love with my husband. And so I just wanted to get back to that new love. I feel like every relationship has its problems. Things aren't always great for us, and sometimes we do struggle at loving each other. And being the wife that I'm supposed to be is not always easy for me. And so that was definitely a goal for me, to read wife books that would help me to be a better wife and to know how to submit to my husband properly. I definitely don't want to get personal with my relationship, so I definitely don't want to bash my parents and their relationship with each other, but they didn't actually start going to church and knowing about God until after all of us kids were born, besides my littlest sister. And so I was not expecting them to have a perfect marriage, and they are honestly such a big inspiration to me, the way that they have stayed with each other for all this time, even though their marriage is not perfect. And there is no such thing as a perfect marriage, at least I don't believe. I think if you have two imperfect people, it's not going to become perfect. Now, there are things that you can do to help your marriage be perfect, or at least better, but I don't think we're ever going to achieve that perfect relationship with anybody. And so traveling was kind of putting a strain on our marriage, because our main focus was our ministry, and so we weren't very much focused on us. And so I had a lot of goals for 2024 to focus on date nights and all of that stuff, and it didn't happen. I don't want to get too much into detail. This year, it's a new year, and I love New Year's for fresh starts. But anyway, those were all of my goals for 2024. Of course, I had other goals as well. I've been doing this thing. It started whenever I turned 20. I had a 20 before 20 bucket list of 20 things that I wanted to do before 20. And I made that when I was like 3 months from being 20. And then I also did one for 21 things before 21. And now I have a 30 before 30 bucket list. That is my 2024. It was a hard year, like I said, a trying year, a growing year, but it was a good year. And I feel like every year can be a good year because we love God and God loves us and he wants what's best for us, and through it all we can see his faithfulness. From there you can watch the slideshow of the year.